welcome to another edition of Loan Officer Lowdown. Today we've got a fantastic guest. Aaron Kortz is with us from the state of Washington. Aaron, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So Aaron, there's always a variety of different, questions, where to start, how to do it. I think it makes most appropriate for you. I want to get into a number of different things about your past. Maybe that's too broad. Don't worry about that. Not too big of your past, but how did you get into the industry? How did you come to work in the mortgage industry and specifically then join Caliber?
So I was basically recruited into the industry by someone at Caliber. I had used my lender, Mike Guild. He's up here with the Linwood branch for two purchases. And as I was retiring from the Marine Corps, he kind of planted the seed, and he knows more about me than my doctor or a priest ever would as my lender. So he said, you should really think about doing what I do. So that's how it started. I talked to my wife and kind of looked up what it was and used my experience with Mike as kind of the litmus test. And over the last 2 years, we had developed a friendship. So I trusted him when he said, I think you'll be really good at this. And it kind of aligns with some of the things I've done in the Marine Corps. So it felt like a good fit, and I jumped.
Wow. Okay. And then, so how long have you now been in the industry?
My first day with Caliber was June 7th. So I'm sure I'm the most junior member you've ever interviewed on here.
Right. You were like on this hockey stick path for sure. That's awesome. Right?
Yeah.
So speaking of the military, I did, obviously knew about your background and whatnot. Tell us a little bit about your military career. What did that look like for you?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I always knew I was going to be a Marine. My very first memories of TV are of, these guys that looked really cool and were slaying dragons and things. And I remember telling my parents that, that's what I'm going to do. I didn't even know what it was. And I enlisted in the Marine Corps between my junior and senior year of high school. Went to boot camp immediately following graduation. In the Corps, I was an ammo tech on the enlisted side. Ammunition technician is what what the technical term is. They call us a lot of things that maybe aren't appropriate for this, but an ammo bubba is what I did. And then about halfway through my career, I crossed into the dark side, as we say, and became a chief warrant officer. And I finished up my time in the Corps as an explosive safety officer and an ammo officer. And I retired this summer, just over 21 years as a chief warrant officer for. So yeah, it's been really good to myself and my family.
Wow, that's a great story, and we really do appreciate your service. Tell me a little bit. Did you know before you joined Caliber? Did you know how our view of military lending, right? It's more than a VA loan program. It's about it's a way of life for us as a company and what we want to do. Were you aware of that before you joined Caliber?
I was aware of it from my experience with Caliber and how different that was than before. So my wife, she's a Marine too.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, that's where I met her actually. So the Corps, we say if they wanted you a wife, they'd issued you one. Well, they did. So it worked out great. She's a Marine, and between the two of us, we've used our VA entitlement a number of times. With various companies, all of them who sound very patriotic in name. And not that the experience was bad, but I just didn't realize how much I was in the dark on the whole process until I started working with Mike and specifically Caliber when he joined the team. It was just, none of it felt like lip service. And in a lot of places, you really get the vibe that it's more about the marketing. It's the information is not really pushed or explained. And as a veteran who's used my own entitlement numerous times, I had really no clue what I was doing. You just kind of trust that the lender you're dealing with is, on the up and up, and you just go along with the flow. And because of, as you come up through the ranks, your mentors being as ignorant as you are about the process, just kind of lending with the big patriotic sounding company of your choice as the guy they use for everything. And I was the same way. I just always went with the flow. My experience with Caliber was totally different, So when Mike offered me the job, or said, hey, I think we might have room on our team for someone like you, it was because of that. It really felt close to the small unit mentality that we have in the Marine Corps, and the other services as well.
Yeah. Wow. What did you think when you got the challenge coin the first time?
That was neat. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple behind me. Most of them are in my office in Seattle, but it's a cool thing, and I like to remind them. Unfortunately, a lot of service members these days, it's kind of an old core thing. So it's nice that this company is injecting that back into the junior ranks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
No, I thought it was great. What about so when you think of what we do for the military community, and we everything we do is trying to outreach and really recognize the challenges that active duty service members, as well as now veterans coming out, that we can do to help serve. Well, one of the things that you're living, breathing proof, right, is somebody who served the country and now has, young guy, although you've got a great tenure of with the military, now you've got to figure out what are you going to do for the rest of your life. And tell me a little bit about some of the things that you've felt going through the process coming into Caliber that maybe we can learn to try to help more new veterans, if you will, join the company in that kind of that new career, because I do think it's a great opportunity for us.
I think it is too. I believe veterans are the ideal candidate for many industries, ours in particular. There's no part of this that I've come across yet, limited, as my experience is, where I can't draw a direct correlation to an occupation in the military. I mean, everything that we do and everything that I've experienced with the company, there is someone in the military that's doing that. And they've honed their skills and mastered them under the most challenging circumstances, under the hardest, most austere environments, and they perform well. They prioritize tasks and competing priorities and take instruction well. And I think we're just the ideal fit.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard through some of the podcasts that we were speaking about beforehand that the industry right now, because of life, where folks are in their life or in their career, that the leaders in the industry, if they're not actively engaged in their exit plan, that they're certainly beginning to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a while to put new blood into the stream. I think we can do it faster than some other people can. So, I really think we're ideal. Caliber is a good example of how it helped me. The handshakes and the lunches, and those are genuine, and they feel great. And we'd love to say thank you, and you're welcome for those. But employment is where it's at. I mean, that really is how you can change someone's life. And if you give them a job and they bring the experience that veterans do, then that's only going to compound and be a force multiplier. So I think a way that we can take it to the next level is through education. I think if we talk to more of the active duty service members before they get out about the opportunities that there are in this industry, we can start to shape people towards it. And through some of the transition programs that exist, I know Caliber in a regional sort of aspect has members of the military that are involved in the Skill Bridge program. I used it not through Caliber, but through a different company before I chose this one. And I mean, it's just huge. If Caliber can become a Department of Defense authorized program through the Skill Bridge, then I mean, you have the pick of the litter. We can literally groom our service members to become the lenders of tomorrow. So it's an awesome program.
Yeah, no, that's great feedback on it. I'm gonna switch gears on you just a little bit. So as you think of, you obviously said as a veteran, you and your wife both eligible for VA home loan benefits, and you've used those benefits. But think of yourself as a just a veteran, or at the time you were active duty, home buyer. What are some of the challenges that that the military, those in the military community face buying a home in general, whether it's the loan or just home buying in general?
It's a three-headed beast. The first one is the logistics of the military. We move on average every 3 years. The timeline between orders and funding of those orders and your actual move is so small that when you get there, you're expected to hit the ground running, and you just don't have a lot of time that the home buying process demands. As fast as it is, it's not as fast as we move. So that's a significant challenge. The clock is always against the veteran. So anything we can do to help, turn the clock back or time hop, that's going to help us out.
Yeah.
The other one is education. Like I said, 21 years, multiple times using my VA loan. I didn't know anything about it. I was just going with the flow. And I talk to veterans now on this side of the fence almost every day that are totally surprised by things like the loan limits going away, or that they can have more than one at the same time, or their entitlement at all. They just don't understand it. And that's because it's not talked about. It's not taught to the service members. It just isn't. You go with the flow. And I think the third challenge that we face is just kind of an old way of thinking about it. Maybe challenges that that predate my service, that folks in the industry, realtors and lenders, are used to having to deal with. It just aren't problems anymore. And in fact, in some cases are pros, I think, like the VA appraisal, for example. I see nothing but good things about the VA appraisal. It's worked to my benefit. And so it's industry misinformation, it's education or the lack thereof for the service members, and it's the clock that's always against the vet.
Yeah, no, that's really, I like the way you picture that or explain that. I did a VA interview this past week and for the IMF doing on veterans. And one of the topics that came up, I'm just curious if you're seeing this as well, but one of the topics that came up is, in today's market, the short escrow periods, because of the tight inventory, that some agents, realtors, in some case builder sales agents, aren't as excited about accepting a VA loan because of the perception, either the appraisal takes too long or the process. Anything that you see that in a market, and I mean, from our perspective, I think Caliber does a tremendous job overcoming that. But is that something that you've witnessed in your market at all?
Yeah, limited experience, of course, but yes, I have had conversations with agents that actively, they don't advertise the property as being open to VA loans. They just put it out there right up front. We don't even want to entertain a VA loan. And the problem with that I've found is, for someone who's also new to the industry, maybe on the realtor side, they have read that as it's VA ineligible. And I've had talks with agents that have outright said, well, I'm not wasting my time on a VA loan because it's not even eligible. And it's like, bro, what are you talking about? It's not eligible, So there's that, there's just misinformation that comes from maybe a good place. All of us want the client's home to close. The listing agent obviously wants their client to be able to sell the house and get the most money that they can. The buying agent wants the house to close and for their client to pay a fair price as soon as they can. And obviously we do as well. So, everyone, I think, needs to realize we're all in the same boat. And if we don't start rowing in the same direction, we're going to just go in circles. That's what happens. So, yeah, we really do need to get the right information out there. And Caliber's doing a great job. I see the interviews and the podcast. Brian, he's out there spreading the word like a champion. I see other folks that are doing it as well. I'm trying to do that up here in the Pacific Northwest. So we're getting there, but it's not time to put the gloves back on.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think That's the kind of stuff that those myths, what's that TV show, Mythbusters, right? We've got to continue to fight on that, because it's just, it just upsets me to think that, an active duty or veteran trying to use their benefit and buy a home just because, the market's in a more fast pace, that they shouldn't be able to do that or be aced out. It's terrible, right? And we need to really continue, because I know this team will rally to get that thing done. So
absolutely.
So what you've been, obviously you've admitted kind of just getting rolling in your career, had a great start. So as you've probably figured out, I do think the mortgage industry may have more paperwork than the U.S. government. But
I don't know. That's a tough one.
So this is kind of a strange question, but as you kind of think about, as you kind of figured things out, is there one idea or area where like, geez, if we could just do this, it would even be faster? Is there some aha looking, coming from the outside that you think we can make and do things better?
So technology wise, I keep seeing topics pop up about how fast technology moves. I think it'll always move faster than any industry. So, as fast as technology can pull regulation along and stay compliant, it will improve our efficiency and effectiveness. There's no doubt there. It's always going to be a people business in my mind. As long as there are folks out there like me that want to talk to a human for the largest purchase of their life, the lender who really takes it to the next level is going to be the one who can complement their people skills with the effectiveness of technology.
Yeah.
The one that does that is going to knock it out of the park. The one who uses technology as a crutch, in my mind, is going to have to work twice as hard to get the same amount of things across the line. So I think that it's maybe more of a long game instead of a fast, immediate response, but more formalized structure with our VSOs, with our local installations. And there are some challenges to that. The services themselves have orders to protect the service members from predatory salesmen of all type.
Right.
Installation commanders have a lot of authority across the board with what goes on their base, and should. But if we can have more formal agreements, relationships, even if not agreements, with the local installations and the installation commanders and the service support organizations on those bases, we're going to be able to educate the service members today. And in the future, when that young service member is re-enlisting or going somewhere else, it's not going to be me that benefits from that, but Caliber certainly will. The lender will on the other side, and that service member absolutely will.
Yeah.
So, the more we can do that, we don't have to get on base to close loans. Obviously, we don't. But our competitors are there, and it's the reason why recruiters hang out in the high schools. Most of those kids are going to college, and all of them are going to get jobs, and none of them want to serve. Yeah. But you go where the people are if you want to spread a message. And the active duty service members are on base. And I think getting there and talking to them there where they're comfortable and they don't feel like they're at a disadvantage will be huge in the future. Great
feedback. All right, so now for the really hard questions. What's your favorite hobby or interest outside of work? How do you manage stress? What do you do for fun?
Yeah. Well, so the last couple of years, our family has been dislocated with my last hitch in the Corps, my wife's job out here. So right now, my hobby outside of work is just hanging out with my girls. We're outdoors people, so we're into woodworking, and we just flew to Texas to go help a buddy out with his bees. So, we do all sort of outdoors things, but my stress relief right now comes from just sitting down with the girls and watching a movie.
Yeah. How old are the girls?
The two youngest that are with us all the time, one turns 9 here in a couple of days, and the other one is 10. So we're getting them ready for school. I'm working from home right now, actually, because our babysitter went off to college, and so we're waiting on school to start back up. So
cool. Well, that's a great. I resemble that remark. So what about, think way back when, even before the military, what was your first paying job?
Well, I did a lot of chores around the neighborhood to save up money to, build forts and stuff. But my first job, I worked at a movie theater when I was 16. I got my license and drove as far as, the curfew would allow.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I
Movie
got a
theater,
job.
like the guy taking the tickets or selling them?
No. I did everything else. I cleaned them. I escorted people in and out. I was the guy who shined a flashlight if you were sneaking into the theater. I did all sort of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I also got my boss in trouble for working too many hours as a 16-year-old.
As a 16, there you go. That
I
shows
took all the
work
shifts
ethic.
from everyone, and he got a call from corporate. Why is the 16-year-old kid working like 90 hours a week? It was
That's
crazy.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So last question, and this one might be a little controversial, but
Okay.
you mentioned Brian Berjans, right? Who's a great, ambassador for all of us in the military community, but he's a Navy guy. So how do the two of you get along?
He gives me a ride anywhere I want to go.
That was a softball setup there, Aaron.
Yeah, no, I mean, we get along great. I mean, it came up on recruiting duty a lot. I'm a Marine and everyone else is out there. We have the best Air Force, Navy, Army, Coast Guard, National Guard in the world. And then there's the Marines.
There's the Marine. That's awesome. Well, Aaron, I sure enjoyed our conversation, and really am glad to see you doing great things. And I would just, the piece of encouragement I'd give you, you've got a big, larger than life personality. Just continue to spread that, bring people in, help recruit, help drive, help us get better. And, you're going to have a great career here. So thanks for all you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Home Connection podcast from Caliber Home Loans. Please see the show notes for links to topics discussed in this episode, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Caliber Home Loans Incorporated, 1525 South Beltline Road, Coppell, Texas, 75019. NMLS number 15622. All rights reserved. Equal housing lender. For real estate and lending professionals only, and not for distribution to consumers.